May I now invite Ajwad, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Energy, to talk about the island perspective. We will talk about the Maldivian perspective and how disruption and changes are influencing utilities and power sector there. Ajwad.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Vika said, my role today is to give an island country perspective on the evolving situation affecting the utilities. I think to build the context, I will just try to make my presentation very brief, but to build the context, but I think I feel that I have to give certain statistics about the uniqueness of Maldives. Well, as you all know, Maldives is basically an island state of population of about 500,000 people scattered across different islands, and even though our exclusive economic zone is fairly large when we include the ocean, but the land area is very small, just about 300 square kilometers, which amounts to only 1% of EEZ. In terms of power generation, we are predominantly import-based economy. At the moment, we spend about 10% of our GDP to import fuel for power generation and other needs. In terms of electricity consumption, we consume about 700 gigawatt hours per annum, out of which 400 gigawatt hours consumed in capital city, Male, which hosts about 1/3 of the population. Every year, the consumption, the demand keep on increasing on average of about 10 to 12% per annum. So in terms of governance of the power sector in the island community, we of course have, like all our neighboring countries, we have the policy maker, which is the Ministry of Environment and Energy, and we have the regulator, the Maldives Energy Authority, and also we have utility companies. It is not unbundled as you have in most other countries. We have the generation, distribution, and supply all under one company. 35 islands are powered by state electric company. Additional 147 islands, electricity is provided by Feneca Corporation. And let me also point out, in addition to inhabited islands, we also have about 145 tourist resorts where the resort management is responsible to provide electricity to those islands. When we talk about evolving situations, it is important to look where we were. When I look at the old legacy systems in Maldives, if you take a typical island, this would be sort of powerhouse that we used to see a couple of years back. You have these manual changeover switches. Fuel is stored in tanks like this, where we don't have proper monitoring devices in place, and the generation logs or the data is maintained on paper by the operators. This is sort of the facilities that we had, and due to the old and poor planned nature of these systems, there's a huge inefficiencies prevalent in the system. About 10% or more distribution losses are there. More than 10 to 30% distribution losses are there in some islands. And also, I mentioned about the capital city, Male. This was the capital city, Male, in 1960. You can hardly see any buildings there. You know, that is the capital city of Maldives. Look at where we are now. This is within a span of almost 50, 60 years. This is level of achievement, development that we have achieved. With it came the challenges that we have. You can hardly see any place to increase the power generation capacity in these islands. You know, it's almost reached its limit. And from, if I remember correctly, we started with just 5 kilowatt generator in this island. It has grown to more than 80 megawatts as we speak today. This is newly developed city nearby called Hulumale. This is again adds to our growing demand. As a solution to this problem, since we don't have available land within the Male city, we are having to interconnect these islands to form a greater Male region interconnection grid. We have already built new power plant in a neighboring island, and there is a process of interconnection which is going on. We are hoping to complete the connection by mid of this year. In terms of policies, the recently launched strategic action plan of the government mandate us to increase the share of renewable energy in our energy mix by increase by 20% compared to 2018 level, which amounts to about 67 megawatts of solar or any other renewable source. And also we are having to increase, the target is set to increase about 10 megawatts before 2023 under net metering. And there are other targets like reducing fuel consumption by 40 million liters within that 3-year period. And we are also having to focus on battery storage, new regulations to maintain our distribution losses within allowed limits. There are other innovative arrangements like formation of new utility regulatory authority, which will combine water, sanitation, and electricity under one roof. And the bill is sent to Parliament this last month. So from the old legacy systems that I showed earlier, I mean, these are sort of this is the new power plant the State Electric Company built recently, just last year. And these are the Feneka new powerhouses. You don't see the old buildings. We have fairly state-of-the-art buildings with proper synchronizing panels and with proper fuel flow meters and energy management systems in place. This is what we have evolved, what we have advanced to date. And we are also focusing on smart meters. We have already tested smart meters in 2 of our Feneka islands, and they have found it to be very successful. And we are going to roll it out entire country by 2021. All the electromechanical old meters will be replaced by smart meters. We are also focusing on LED street lights with the support from Indian Energy Efficiency Services Limited. We have already changed all the street lights in capital city Male, and we are going to install the smart meters to better manage the lightings in Male. And also we are planning to install energy management systems in powerhouses where to better monitor and make policy decisions on that. And in future, we see the role for service providers, not only power generation and distribution. We see the power distribution companies to play a role in e-mobility as well, where they can supply charging facilities in different locations in the islands, and they can charge money for that as well. This is sort of a energy management system we have in place in some of the islands. As you can see, all of the 3 generators in this snapshot that I took, 3 generators at the moment off. The electricity is powered by solar and battery, and this is monitored at an island level, and the data is real-time monitored by the headquarters at Feneka and the regulator as well. So this, of course, this sort of digitalization allows us a better grid management. It has its smart grid implications where in future, when we convert our islands to smart grid, this will be very useful. And it also helps us to understand consumer demand patterns, and also allows us to manage the peak load better. And also devise tariff structures like introducing time of use tariff and other measures to better manage our loads. Again, I will skip through this. This is the solar resource. Being close to Equator, Maldives enjoys solar resources abundantly. And we have taken advantage of this, and we have a major program, very transformative program to install out solar photovoltaics in our island. These are sort of installations that we have done. Just quickly go through it. And to conclude my short remarks, in 2008, we just had 0.1 megawatt of solar photovoltaics in Maldives. Within the span of few years, as we are today, in 2019, we have gone up to 21 megawatt. And we have plans to roll out additional almost close to 67 megawatts within the next 3 years. Thank you very much.